everyone. I'm Sandra Levy, Senior Editor of Drugstore News. Today we have Dr. Marc Watkins, Chief Medical Officer of Kroger Health. Thanks for joining us today, Dr. Watkins.
And thank you, Sandra. Thank you for having me. It's a
Oh,
pleasure to speak with you again.
of course. Well, let's start with, in January, Kroger Health began clinical trials at select in-store clinics. Its partnership with Persephone Biosciences is looking at colorectal cancer in the Argonaut clinical study. That said, can you tell us why it's the right time now for Kroger to get into clinical trial?
Absolutely, Sandra. One of the main reasons that we've entered this space is because we recognize that there's an opportunity to improve diversity in clinical trials and to further improve healthcare therapeutic solutions by involving a much broader population in trials. So we understand that comprehensive representation is needed in the space, as I mentioned, and Kroger can bridge that gap. And what I mean by that is that we have a team of more than 24,000 healthcare professionals under the umbrella of America's Grocer. And we're really positioned at the nexus of food and healthcare. And this role provides us an opportunity to increase accessibility to clinical trial opportunities. And we're committing to enhancing the quality of healthcare research and increasing accessibility to all participants. And let me just close this opening by saying that with our breadth of stores and opportunities around the country, we're bringing trials directly to the communities that we serve. And we believe this is just a natural fit for our patients and consumers to be part of trials that they may have not otherwise been have accessibility to or been even offered an opportunity to participate.
Well, that's excellent. So what's game-changing about the Argonaut colorectal trial? Can you talk about that, the trial, as well as the role Persephone Biosciences is playing?
Absolutely, and we recognize that a couple of things have happened. The screening for colorectal cancer has been impacted by the pandemic, and also that there's been changes in the ages of recommendation, because we're seeing colon cancer in younger and younger populations. So we've moved screening from the age of 50 down to 45, and understanding that approximately 9 out of 10 people whose colorectal cancers are found early have a substantial ability to be alive a whole lot longer. And so there's a lot to be said about catching cancer early. The data from this trial will be used to develop personalized medicines and find cancer-specific indicators that may help guide future treatment and prospective strategies, such as utilizing our and other food as medicine. So we understand how important this is. And let me just maybe expand a little bit deeper. Argonaut is a longitudinal prospective observational study that will enroll up to about 5,000 advanced stage cancer patients of a diverse background to collect data used to develop precision microbiome medicines. Really, and I think that's this cutting edge of this particular study, is to examine how our gut microbiome potentially can play into understanding the implications of cancer-specific biomarkers, to guide therapeutic decisions. And then really, if we're able to utilize this whole genome sequencing and metabolomics to characterize the patient's microbiome, the study will ultimately determine whether your specific microbiome composition can predict risk for colorectal cancer, and then help us guide this progression for cancer-free survival.
Wow, that is fascinating and so important. It really is.
Mm-hmm.
So can you talk about I know you touched upon it a little bit at the beginning, but how can Kroger bridge the access demographic representation gap that's been in clinical trials?
Yeah, absolutely. And traditional trials have at times focused on the academic medical centers or research trial organizations, and Geography remains one of the primary limiting factors when it comes to clinical trial success, with more than half of patients really not having access to trials in the communities that they live, work, and play. Kroger Health can engage with a wider range of the population in clinical trials just because of our footprint around the country, leveraging things like our digital tools, virtual care visits, and personalized communication will facilitate better patient retention. And that it's one thing to just be able to recruit patients for trials, but it's really important to retain them throughout the study's life cycle. And then finally, in addition, it's clinics, our dietitians, our pharmacy services, and the relationships with the broader ecosystem, like our other healthcare organizations, really enable Kroger Health and Kroger to offer an end-to-end clinical trial management solution that really can be a game changer for the trial participants, but also for pharma sponsors in the future.
So how would you sum up the future of clinical trials in community pharmacy? In other words, what does this mean for patients, and what does it mean for treatments in the future?
Well, one, I think it's a couple of fold, and let me begin to unpackage it in a couple of ways. I think one, when pharma sponsors are looking to diversify clinical trials today, and also to improve things like retention and recruitment, they are just dealing with maybe a single point entity. When they have a relationship and they begin to develop these partnerships with Kroger and Kroger Health, they get an access to hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of points of care throughout the communities that we serve across the nation. And we believe this is first of many clinical trial opportunities that will utilize Kroger Health as an alternative to traditional clinical trial and research organization models, meaning that when we decentralize trials, Sandra, really bring them to the community, we can serve a much broader base of potential trial participants. And finally, I think with our collaborations with health systems across the country, we offer an opportunity to further engage with the broader ecosystem when it comes to trials. We've been for a long time, for more than 40 years, from our pharmacy counters, that we've been a trusted community health destination. And we envision a future where our work transforms the clinical trial landscape and provides access to expanded trial consideration for the populations that we serve, meaning that we can really serve a much broader, diverse population in the future.
Can you tell us more about the trial?
Absolutely. The data collected from this trial will be used to develop personalized medicines and find cancer-specific indicators that may help guide future treatment and preventive strategies, as I mentioned, utilizing food as medicine. The study in its entirety really is development and analysis of a blood and stool sample bank for cancer patients, enabling the systemic study of the effects of blood and gut microbiomes on response to treatment. This will be in collaboration with Persephone Biosciences. As I mentioned, we organize a longitudinal prospective observational study that will enroll up to 5,000 advanced cancer patients of diverse backgrounds. We know that if we're able to utilize whole genome sequencing and the ability of us to understand how the microbiome is affecting the cells, biofluids, tissues, and organisms collectively, how they interact with our gut microbiome, we're better able to determine how the microbiome composition can predict risk for colorectal cancer, which can aid us in understanding how we can develop therapeutics for a cancer-free survival.
Oh, that's excellent. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Watkins, for sharing this important news. And we hope you'll come back and discuss it further as you get into more clinical trials and give us some of the results that you get.
Absolutely. It'd be my pleasure to come back and speak with you anytime, Sandra.
Great. I look forward to it. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.